I don't know any teacher that would want to be known as boring, and yet we sometimes create PowerPoint presentations that are boring. All they do is lead to students being bored, distracted, confused, or even annoyed. So let's stomp out boring presentations and take you from this to this. Quick confession, I love PowerPoint. Firstly, because I'm not smart enough to remember everything I've got to say. And secondly, it is a way of creating engaging content if you design it right, present it right, and include active learning. Let's just have a look at some PowerPoint fails so we can see what's going wrong. This one's pretty obvious. It's got too many words in a very small font. Humans can read faster than you can talk. So if you have wordy slides, your students are just going to read it. And if the key point of this slide is the definition there in red, then the rest of the words are just clutter. This slide has got far too much going on. There's a heading, there's 2 pictures, and then there's 3 dot points. Your eyes dart around and they don't even know where to start. Marketers spend millions of dollars on research, so they can target us with goods and services that we might find relevant, easy to understand, or novel. If it's none of those things, our brains just ignore the advertisement. Let's run this slide through the relevant, easy to understand, or novel filter. It could be relevant? Maybe. Is it easy to understand? Absolutely not. Is it novel? Not really. Let's break it down a bit further. The first 3 dot points on this slide relate to fire, and the next 3 dot points relate to rain. So I'm going to chop this slide into 2. So if we put this slide through the filter now, let's see how it goes. Is it relevant? Well, still a maybe, but it's going to be much more relevant because I've used a picture of a house burning in a bushfire, which is going to provoke people's emotions. Is it easy to understand? Tick. Is it novel? Tick. Much more than it was before. And if we look at the slide with the rain, you'll notice that I've presented it in the exact same way, so it's easier for students to absorb. Because our brains try and find the easiest and simplest way to organize and understand information, we need to design our slides that are lean and clean. PowerPoint templates can be quite complex and quite messy, so I've just created my own slide here with my own text parameters and sizes. It's easier to read when everything is left justified, so put your body text directly under your heading and use a small space between lines. In this case, I use 0.6 after. Use a large clean font. I use Calibri 30 to 36, but you can pick your own. No dot points, they mean nothing. Not too wordy, take out all text that's not needed. It's better to have more slides than clutter. On this second template I've created, I've just done it so that I include a picture, so I know exactly where to put the picture, the heading, and the text. A great way to break up a PowerPoint presentation is to use storytelling. I'll often do this by using a photo. It's a great way to evoke that emotion in your students and help them connect with the story. Story's also great to help people pin the theory that you've just gone through onto a real life situation. It'll help them understand, remember, and use it in the future. Using video is a brilliant way to help students cement their learning. But if you're going to use them, make sure you send students off with that URL rather than trying to show it through your PowerPoint presentation or on your connection platform, because sometimes there'll be a lag or a delay. I always want to include a component of active learning in a presentation. Sometimes we just bombard students with all this information and we don't give them that space to then think deeply about it. As an example, you could give them that slide that was way too wordy that we looked at before and get them to break this down. What does it mean? And can you present it back to the class in its most simplest form? Another great way to keep students engaged is to give them an activity during your presentation. But rather than just give them verbal instructions, make sure you put a slide up with all the details of what they need to do and what's expected. If you want to design and deliver a great PowerPoint presentation, you're going to have to rehearse. But who's got time for that, right? So one thing you can do is rehearse your presentation as you design and develop it. That way you're simplifying the content, you're making it logical so that it flows, because if it makes sense to you, you're going to deliver it with confidence. Okay, that's it from me. If you want more videos like this, click the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time on Virtually the Teacher.